Hello, I'm Claudia Quigg, and it was my real joy in 1986 to help start Baby Talk in Decatur, Illinois. In Decatur, we had this dream that we would love to throw our arms around every family who was having a baby and raising a young child in our community. And we figured out right away that it would be possible to do that if we followed 12 simple words. The first three words were we needed to build a system. We began by talking to everyone else in our community who really cared about the population of families with infants and toddlers and learning about what their interests were and their goals and what assets they could bring to those families. And together we created a collaboration that would enable us to work together to support families the best way we could. The next three words were we figured out we would like to screen every family. And the way we did that was to go to our two hospitals' obstetric units and spend time with families following the birth of their babies and getting to know them and learning about them. The next three words were we needed to identify the needs. No two families are the same. Every family has different assets and different things that they need to be able to give their children what they most want. And finally, once we had identified those needs, we wanted to work with our system in our community to deliver appropriate services, make sure we could connect families with whatever programs and resources would enable them to be successful with their children. Now, initially, I think we thought that we'd probably wind up giving a lot of advice to parents and talking to them about how they could raise their children. But on the very first day, on October 1st, 1986, I had an experience that taught me that that was not our goal at all. I went to one of the hospital obstetric units, and there I was greeted by a nurse who was so eager to see me. And it made me feel great. And she said, we have a young mother we need you to talk to. She's 15 and she can neither hear nor speak. And they walked me into her room with her and left me with this young woman named Clemmy. She was seated in her bed and she was beaming the most beautiful smile. And I was at a complete loss about what I was supposed to do with her because everything I'd planned to do involved me telling her something. And I knew she couldn't hear me. But I did see that she had on her bedside table a little pad and a pen. And I pointed to it and she nodded enthusiastically. And so I picked it up and I was struggling for what to say or do. But I wrote on the pad, "Tell me about your baby." And with that, her face lit up. She climbed out of bed, took me by the hand, and walked me across the hallway to the newborn nursery where her baby was just inside the glass in a little crib. And she stood and looked at her baby. And for a moment, I was a little uncomfortable because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And then I realized all I had to do was come alongside her and be present with her and look at her baby with her. So I moved a little closer and together we stood and looked at her baby. And occasionally her baby would make a funny face the way newborns do. And I would look at her and we would both grin. And then I looked at this mommy and what I saw in her was profound love as she was looking at her baby. And I looked at that baby and how the baby's eyes were searching to find mama's face through the glass. And I realized that I was standing on holy ground. I was in the presence of a real miracle taking place between this mother and her baby as they were learning how to be in love with each other. We stood like that for about 10 minutes and then she took my hand and led me back to her room. So she climbed into her bed and she noticed then that I had brought in with me 3 board books. And my plan was to invite her to choose one of them. one by one, she picked them up and leafed through the pages and was so entertained by them. And at the end of going through all three, she gathered them in her arms, and then she wrote on the pad, "Thank you." And I realized she thought I was giving her all three books. So on the very first day, I kind of blew the budget. But what I learned was that she was passionately grateful for these books. And then she reached for her pad and she wrote me a note, and it said, "I live with my aunt and she will read them to my baby." She knew that that's what I was hoping for, and that's what I would have talked about. But I didn't have to talk about it. It was already inside her. And it was my joy and privilege to get to watch her process it and be able to give that to me. So Clemmy taught me a great deal about what this work would be. And I learned it's not about anything we tell parents. It's about our joining them and building a relationship that can impact them positively. So we began to be very serious about learning what it would take to build these relationships with families. We knew it would involve more listening than talking. We knew it was about coming alongside rather than leading. And we knew that it would involve our being collaborators with parents. So we began to identify some what we came to call our critical concepts. Things like recognizing that parents are the experts on their own children. And those critical concepts are what have enabled Baby Talk practitioners to make impactful relationships with families now for well more than 30 years. So how do we know that these critical concepts work? Well, we know them two ways. First, we know them because our research has indicated tremendous, significant differences in families because of Baby Talk programming. We're proud that we've made a great investment in research and have employed some of the most outstanding young researchers in our field now. And they have developed results that we can show so that we can proudly claim that Baby Talk is an evidence-based model, which is why it's now being used all over the country. We also know that these critical concepts work because every day we hear stories from Baby Talk professionals just like you who are using these ideas in their work with families, and because of them are experiencing their own miracles every day as they work with parents and children and learn about how to be effective in relationships with them. We are so excited that you are joining Baby Talk, and we can't wait to learn what you are going to bring to us as you, in your unique practice with families, use these concepts and let us know about the impacts on the work that you do. We promise you that you will be more impactful, and we also promise you that you will find real joy in the work you do with families because you'll be so focused on the strengths of both families and children. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to Baby Talk. Okay, Karen, that's it.
It was perfect.
Was it?
Perfect, yes.
Okay,
I
good.
love it.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, so now what?
Okay, so
Stop recording.